let's call the meeting to order. I have 4:30 on the nose. All right, take a look at the agenda. It was sent out to you. Hello. It was sent out to you previously. If you have no changes, revisions, etc., can I get a motion to approve today's agenda?
Second.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
There were some revisions to the minutes. Came back and forth a couple of times. I need to know if we can get approved for last month's minutes. If there aren't any further changes necessary. Looked good to me on the last revision.
I apologize for the multiple revisions, and we've figured out a way to alleviate that in the future.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Excuse me.
Give me a second. Thank you. Passes. Public comments, please. Public comments.
Hello, I'm Mark Erdler. I would just like to remind the board that at the last board meeting, Rick Meyer let everyone know that he had authorized, and this is his words, not mine, tens of thousands of dollars to fill 60 FOIA requests. That's not including legal fees incurred, and again, this is what he told you, not including legal fees that were incurred by cases that were opened by the Attorney General's office. So you're talking about a lot of money for 60 FOIA requests, which it's not, there's nothing, no one believes that. I've talked to many people, no one believes it. I consulted the city, I consulted DPD. DPD handles almost 4,000 a year. City handles up to the last 365 was 3,361, which would put the budget for those departments into the over at least $1 million using the lowest possible number that Rick gave. And that's if you assume that Rick only authorized $20,000 plus the legal fees. So that's asinine. He's lying. If he's telling the truth, he should be fired immediately for wasting taxpayer money in inefficient ways. Nobody else would spend that much money to fill a FOIA request. These are not, it's not rocket science to fill a FOIA request. If he's lying, he lied directly to you, to all your faces, and he should be fired because he's not operating in good faith. In any event, I encourage all of you to look into and take a closer look at what Rick is doing with the FOIA. He should have been removed a long time ago. This is like having Donald Trump in charge of the Mueller report. It makes no sense. You have the guy who is causing the majority of the problems refusing to let go of that power. It doesn't make any sense. And again, he's releasing people's social security numbers, their private information. He's not redacting properly. Wouldn't you think after all the work that Rick's put in, he says it's such backbreaking labor to do these FOIA requests, right? To hit search in an email server. It's so difficult. Wouldn't you think he would at least know how to redact properly by now? A guy making $100,000 a year doesn't know that you're not supposed to reveal someone's social security number. I'm also very unhappy that I had to go through such hoops to read the new book on Route 36. You come here every time and you hear how circulation is down month after month after month after month. Yet this is a book that would have been extremely popular. Katie Etchison refused to stock it in her section. I came in to check it out. I had to go to local history to get it. I couldn't even check it out. I went to Mount Zion. I talked to them. They said they put it in a different section. I came here, talked to somebody else. This is not the first time Katie Etchison has blocked a book. She blocked Bill O'Reilly's new book from being put into the collection. This is what happens when you have people who have no idea what they're doing in a library handling books. That's why circulation is down. Rick is making librarians of people who do not have library science degrees. Just because someone is friends with Rick's wife does not mean that they should be a librarian. You want to fix circulation? Start with the collection. TED Talks are not making an impact. Having booze parties over at Door 4 is not having an impact. Books, art, movies will have an impact. So for the library's sake, please, those of you, a couple of you have shown at least a mild interest in making this place better, focus on the collection and not these little personal things that aren't doing any good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have written communications from the public? None. All right, so we have some old business with the gift policy.
This is the revision from council. The preamble is written by him. The rest of it is taken straight from statute. It's simply us formally adopting that statute. You guys can't take the final action, but you can be the people vetting it to prepare gist of it starts on page 4. Those are the prohibited political activities of staff. And the rest of it is about the gift ban and exceptions to that. Once again, it's state law. It's simply a formality, so. Happy to discuss.
Is this policy the correct term for it? It's actually.
It may not be, it's more of an
Gifts
ethics, an overall ethics provision.
But I think it's correct as stated on the document itself.
Right, and I'd be happy to, I'd be happy, we could call it the ethics policy, something like that might be a more accurate, because it does talk about prohibited political activities.
Any other comments or questions about this? I would be fine with this going to the full board.
I'm fine with it. I mean,
We're
it's-
fine, yeah,
Okay. Do we need to vote on that then?
I think it's
Okay.
to recommend to the full
Can
board.
someone,
I'd like to make a motion to recommend our ethics and gifts policy to the full board for their acceptance.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we will take that to. Any other old business? No? All right. New business, we have the report.
Yeah, I don't have the updated, from the attorney's updated report on the PAC complaints, but these are the FOIA requests since the last meeting. One of them is still outstanding, the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a couple of final tweaks and be ready to be sent tomorrow.
Any questions or comments about the FOIA report? Personnel update.
Still in the same place as last month. Still waiting on to hear from the city's HR as to how we're going to approach the filling the halftime civil service position. I've had a couple of conversations with them, but still don't have a final answer.
Okay.
And it's about the process, it's not about
Right.
the.
I handle the HR.
All right. Equity, diversity, and inclusion. Any updates? or-
I don't have anything new.
I do. There was a news article, I believe, that was done on the discussion that the racial taboo group had. So,
Yeah, that was good.
yeah, I think that's positive. They do have a diverse group of people that meet and discuss. It rotates. It could be different every time they meet, but that makes the conversation, I think.
And the only other thing I would add is it kind of ties into item number 5 also. And maybe it's more appropriate to talk about there, but probably is more appropriate to talk about there. I'll wait till then, talk about that as a whole.
All right, do we want to move on to the trustee facts file then? Any other items or mentions for equity, diversity, and inclusion? Okay, which we'll look at that in more detail when we get to the strategic plan, so hopefully. All right, trustee facts file.
So, in this year's per capita grant, they change the requirements every year slightly, and one of the requirements, this is probably the most, it's not, onerous isn't the right word, but it's the most onerous one since I've been here. It's still not bad, it's pretty manageable. But the 6th requirement is for the Board of Trustees to review chapters 11 through 14 and all appendices of the trustee facts file, 3rd or 4th edition. Now, the only electronic version I have is the 3rd edition, and that's what I sent you guys. I sent it to you a couple of weeks ago initially, but you you should have all been issued the 4th edition, a more recent edition, whenever you came on board. If you haven't been, let me know and I'll get it to you. The only substantive differences in these chapters that I found was in the appendices, and that's in the resources, appendix G, I want to say. Yeah, it's appendix G. So the resources are something that have changed quite a bit. What we're charged with doing, and Gene Organic, who manages this grant over at the State Library, advised this can be done. You guys can do this on your own time, and then just give me feedback. And then I have to report to them what that feedback is, and what changes, if any, the library will enact due to our review of these chapters and the appendices. I saw some things that were of interest, but I'd like to hear from you guys first if you've had a chance to look at it and see what you think. And I plan on taking it to the full board to see, to get everybody's input, but I thought I'd first ask this committee. If there was anything you saw in here that, sort of screamed out, we need to look at this.
I haven't had time to review it yet.
Yeah, I need time to go through all these definitions, also real legislative terms.
I want to point out a couple of things that we might want to think about. I find this table here in advocacy.
What page are you on?
That's chapter 12. And it's not. It's page 51 is what it is. But I find that table is a very helpful way to sort of conceptualize things. I want to say that we've done a pretty good job on working with government officials. We weren't doing a very good job at it, and President Sorensen had a lot to do with that, us moving in that direction. But we're regularly meeting with and talking to our local officials, which we weren't doing in the past. We try to get them in here at least once a year. We've got some state level officials in here last year, and I just had a nice impromptu sit down with Sue Shear. She dropped in about 2 weeks ago. And I'm working on at the local level as a legislative recruiter for the ILA legislative meetups, and I think that's helpful too, because it gets me to know the players a little bit better. And they're not all our reps, but they are people who can advocate for libraries or not advocate for libraries. Right. So I think that's worthwhile. We've never participated in legislative days. My opinion is that they're not particularly useful. I mean, I think that the one-on-ones or 2 or 3 on-ones is a much more effective way to advocate with the legislators. But I'd be happy to participate in a legislative day if the board thinks that that's something that's worth doing. But Chapter 13 is something we probably need to adopt to the formal PR policy. As you look through the ALA documents, trustee education is another thing we may want to look at. One thing that the IHLS board does that President Williams, we should consider, I think, is they have, each month they have one trustee, and it rotates, look at a piece of library legislation, learn about it, and then explain it to the board at the meeting. It doesn't take long. They try to keep it like 5 minutes or something, but I think it keeps that stuff in front of you guys, and I think that's a good thing. So, and we can talk about the various ALA documents. I find that ALA takes a more absolutist stance on things than I think that we do as a library, but I think it's worth talking about. So, you guys can just send me your feedback by email, and we don't have to have this as an agenda item at the full board meeting, but I'll probably take it to the finance committee next week also.
Okay. Let's have a little time to digest it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And know
absolutely.
what,
This
this is a heavy duty
there's a lot here.
document. And, especially in lieu of us, revisiting the strategic plan, I think it's helpful to kind of juxtapose these two.
Dovetails into it,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that update. Strategic plan update.
So this is an update of where we are and on the progress we're making towards the goals. Now, as I'm doing this, and I'm sorry, this cut off and didn't print correctly because I had comments on all these, and I apologize for that. But
You emailed us the electronic version, so we can have that.
I believe that I did.
Did you?
Yeah. So, there's good news and bad news here, but as I went through it, I thought it might be worthwhile in January or perhaps February for us to revisit the plan itself and see if there are any tweaks that we might want to make to it. See if you can get it printed correctly if it's not too time consuming. But there are a couple of things that, the bright spots are, so in welcoming environment, goal number 1, strategy number 5, strengthen customer service and friendliness, particularly checkout and reference desk areas. The feedback that we've gotten since we've instituted an easier way to give that feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. That's the best bright spot. The other one is number 2, strategy number 2, work with the city to provide options for repairing parking lot, creating a plan for the outlying building. That is completed. Well, not absolutely completed, but it's in a pragmatic way it is. In engaging the community, we have increased partnerships. We have something like 12 or 14 active partnerships right now. Again, with the good news for removing barriers, and most of 3 cut off. So one of them is the elimination of fines. On goal number 4, service and resources, expand adult programming covering multiple formats and topics. That has been, in the first year of the plan, I think it was about 150% increase in adult programming attendance. That's leveled off some, but it's still very good. Sustain and support existing exceptional services for children. Children's circulation is still the best. When we look at by audience, it's still the best. It's much smaller in raw numbers than the adult, but there are months that it actually increases or decreases at a much lower level. And the programming numbers have gone through the roof of late, so that's a plus. Working in partnership with other community providers, expand workforce and economic development services and resources. The partnership with Workforce Investment Solutions has been very successful. So examine practices. Strategy number 1 and 2, review effective organizational structures and practices of other libraries for possible implementation. We have done some restructuring and it's worked out really well. We're looking at some possible further restructuring that I've emailed a couple of you about down the road we've got a target date of 2023. And I believe we've done a pretty good job of improving communication and connections between library departments. Simply combining 2 departments went a long way towards addressing that. Now let's look at the rough areas, because there's a couple things we, I think, went backwards. we're at a standstill on, in our goal number one, strategy number one, develop a plan to rework the interior space, focusing on ease of use for customers and flexible use of space in the future. I want to tell you guys, though, that there's money to be had at the state level next year.
For this, for the
The infrastructure, there was an infrastructure bill that was passed that had several $billion in it, 50 million of which are earmarked for public libraries. Our index, educated public libraries, we're eligible for up to 68%. And yes, remodeling, furniture, those are part of that grant. So I think that there's a real opportunity there, and it'll be something I'll be talking to you guys more about in the very near future.
I was thinking we were using our fundraising efforts for this, but I guess not.
Well, I think we will. I think we'll have to. We'll have to,
For
but
furniture and things, I guess.
we will have to. But yes, we will have to. But I think grants are a part of fundraising, and you know, there's been some disagreement on the best way to approach the fundraising, and you know, I think that we need to come to some decisions about how to do that, and because I don't want to leave this, you know, it's going to be a competitive grant. Maybe we write the grant, we don't get it, but I think we've got to give it a try. Couple other spots that I was.
You talked about signage too.
Yeah, okay, so that's number 3, and we're working on a stopgap measure. The problem is you want signage to go along with your interior design. And if we're going to remodel, it doesn't make sense to invest any money, you know, any significant amount of money in it now until we know exactly what that remodel
Where
is
stuff is
going to entail. But we're working on it. I gave the go-ahead to some staff to work on a stopgap measure for signage, interior signage.
Yes, that's it.
So, and number 4 is also a part of that, enhancing the appeal of the exterior entrance, lobby, and interior. Although the appeal of the exterior entrance, I think, is improved just by getting rid of the loading dock and improving the parking lot. I think it looks better.
Rick, what about this remote access or return locations for materials?
I just don't think we can do it. It came up in the focus groups, and that's why it's on here. It was a real theme. There are some. The problem isn't the cost of the drop boxes. They're not cheap, but you know, we can figure out a way to swing that. The problem is the ongoing labor of going there and picking it up. And you know, I'm not saying that we can't do it at some point in the future, but I'm wondering if it's something we want to keep on the strategic plan at this point. That's where I am on that. There are also some very, very high-tech and expensive options. Actual checkout kiosks that you know, like red boxes for libraries. Those are, when you go to the trade shows, you know, they've got them there and they're cool as can be, and they cost 6 figures just to buy and install. And you know, there's got to be some ongoing maintenance costs to them, and plus you still need labor. You still have to go fill them up
And damage, I mean, not just upkeep, but people damaging them.
Right.
So, yeah, so I get that, but I wouldn't want to take it off because there had to be a good reason that it was placed on here. And I mean, maybe right now it's not feasible, but if it's still a goal of ours, then I think we keep it on there.
I think it would be great. I think it would be great to have. I mean, especially in the focus groups. It came up a little bit in the survey, and it came up a little bit in the retreat we had, but in the focus groups, we heard again and again, convenience. The convenience is what we want. So, and that was, and people said, you used to have the bookmobiles, you used to have the drop boxes all over town,
Used
so.
to have remote libraries, like that little one that's up on,
Road Prairie.
branch?
No, the little branch library.
Branches.
Oh,
Now
right.
it's like Chickers.
Well, I talked with city manager writing about, just in the thinking out loud stages now, about the possibility, and this is part of potential part of neighborhood revitalization, to have some spots where we could go do some remote programming from time to time. You know, Robert teaches basic computer classes. It might be nice to go to the neighborhoods and to, you know, rather than asking people to come here. So that's something that-
Or something like that.
I've actually been at King's Orchard and
Homework hangout.
haven't been there, I've been to some of the Kano meetings, we've been to some of the, where they have the kids there.
Right.
So,
So,
yeah, that's a good idea.
it's something that the city manager writing would like, you know, us and other city agencies to think about doing is, you know, if they get some spots, some designated, some buildings that the city purchases or leases.
But that doesn't fall under this category, correct? No, right?
It might, there's some potential that it could. I think there's some potential that it could. I mean, it could be, if we're going out there and doing, doing programming on a regular basis, you know, it could be a sort of mega branch in some ways. But it's, again, incredibly early stages of the discussion on that. But yeah, that's one where there are definitely some barriers. Number one, under remove barriers, increase diversity of library staff, board and volunteers to better reflect the community. We've made a tiny little bit of progress in that, and but not at the board or volunteer level. But we've made a tiny little bit of progress on that on staff, but we can do more.
What about services and resources, item 1?
Yeah, and we've had some improvement in team program attendance. Actually, like as a percentage, it's a huge increase, but the raw numbers are still really small. But we just need to follow through on. I think that the teen advisory group is something that could be done in partnership with Milliken. You know, as a student internship. Nice to have somebody closer to their age, sort of lead the teen advisory group. We had one at my last library. It was an idea we thought let's get a teen advisory board together, and it was small, but they were really engaged, and we learned a lot from it. I think it's something we need to push through. I just sent. I think there's a possible grant opportunity in 2020. It's closed for 2019, of course, but it's called Great Stories, and the grant is from the American Library Association. And what it does is it gives training to staff to conduct teen book clubs, but also gives you the money to buy enough copies of the book so that everybody can check one out. And that's often the.
How are you contacting the teens? Are you just waiting for them to come in here? Or is it something that you could go to the schools and find individual?
We've got to do a lot more of that, and that's one of our goals is to get a better relationship somewhere in here with DPS 61, and that's something we
It seems like you could go into the schools and find kids that are interested in that.
Yeah, we have some of the youth groups, I mean, like I think Walker has one, there's after school.
Youth with a positive direction.
Exactly, and also the Boys and Girls Club, and sort of finding out who else they partner with. That's actually, I just called the director.
And I haven't spoken to her yet.
So,
They have in YLI, they have a youth leadership, and they have to come up with usually they have to come up with each group.
a project.
Yes, and this might be a good project to focus towards that youth leadership or Boys and Girls Club.
Keep in mind, Robert's got Project Next Generation, and
That's where we kind of.
works with community leaders to bring kids in and put technology into their hands and work on projects that relate to that technology.
So what was it?
The Youth Leadership Institute, YLI, is through the Chamber of Commerce, which I still think you have to go to the kids, and I know you're going to them there, but you're going into the high schools, there's going to be kids that are really interested in doing something.
Yeah,
and I wonder if an internship, let's talk a little bit later about what that might look like, because we definitely would have some students, I think, that would be good for this, but is it an unpaid internship? Is it a paid internship? Is it a, you know, what is it?
Those are all, the devil's always in the details, but, the reason I like that possibility is because it adds credibility. You know, it's close, they're 19, 20 years old,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I think they'd be able to recruit a lot easier than.
Right.
Right, understand
That
what
we
the
would,
kids
yeah.
are interested
Right.
in.
So, also under services and resources, goal number 4, number 6, found out something else since I wrote this. So the Share Consortium is considering an app that would address a lot of these issues that we have. And again, the problem is that you have to go to so many places to search for the information you need. Share is looking at an app that would solve a lot of those problems. But in the meantime, Alyssa Hankel met yesterday with, we're going to be adding some electronic resources in the very near future. EBSCO is one of the companies that we're going to be working with. And they have a tool that will do this. So in other words, you can just go to our website and say, type in small engine repair, okay, and it will take you to the books we have on it. It'll take you to the database information we have on that. It searches across everything. So not just their products. It searches across our Gale databases and all of our other databases. So he didn't have a price for it. So we're waiting for a proposal. We've got some money left over in the materials and resources budget this year. If it fits, we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger this year, because it'll take Share at least, I'm guessing at least a year to just make a decision on whether or not they're going to get this app. So, we can sign a 1-year contract and get it going.
So the other product is from who?
The other project is called Solus, S-O-L-U-S, and it's an app that has, and it does more than that. I mean, it has a lot of features that are, again, some of them to me are almost creepy. Like if you're walking in the 900s and do decimal, you can get a notification on your phone that says, hey, you might enjoy this book that's on history, So.
It's the way of the future.
Yes, but it's
I like EBSCO, I'm familiar with EBSCO.
I much prefer, well,
I'm just not familiar with the other.
Gale has its good points, but I'm an EBSCO guy too, and we talked with them, and they don't have as many bells and whistles as Gale does, but I think that they're easier to use and the price is good. So we'll be adding some of their products probably by the end of the month. So I do think that we should, in January, February, review the strategic plan and see if there are any tweaks that we want to make to it. Either in just wordsmithing language or some substantive things. Are there things we want to remove, or are there things we want to add? I don't think I would be in favor of changing the goals, but some of the strategies under the goals might be worth looking at.
Yeah, some of the things we've accomplished, I think, can come off.
We're moving around.
Exactly. Instead of just reporting that to you every course, saying, oh, yeah, we still did that. I think that's I'd be happy to bring that to you guys next month with my own thoughts and hear what you think.
Any other comments or questions about the strategic plan?
Oh, one more thing I wanted. I don't like strategy number 3 on goal 5. I find it, I never have really liked it, but I don't really know what it means.
Oh, I don't either.
It's the lights patrons.
Yeah.
John Phillips said that when he first saw it, that he didn't like it, and I kind of thought I had a big handle on it, but I really don't. And I'm not even sure how to measure it once did we achieve it? Did we not achieve it? I don't know.
Well, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think part of the spirit of that is relating to, looking at ways to get customer feedback, whether it's through the, you walk out, you press, you know, how was your experience, but that can't be the only way, because sometimes you just walk out and you forget that it's even there. Even though it's right there, you forget. So what are some other ways?
And another product that we're looking at, and I talked about it when I talked to you guys about the ILA conference last month. There's a product called OpenGov, and it's got a corollary, which is Open Town Hall. So the OpenGov is it's a way to put your documents online, available to the public, and make it interactive. So budget stuff, financials. I mean, you can actually drill down to the check level if you want to, as a patron. That's what I mean by interactive. Hover over something and go to a different level if you want to. If you want just a big bird's eye view, you can get the bird's eye view. But their Open Town Hall, I need to see, is it superior to SurveyMonkey? But what it is, it's like one question at a time kind of thing. It's a way to reach out to your patrons, a survey tool.
But do they have to go online and search it out?
Yeah.
It won't happen. It won't happen. What I think, and I mean.
I don't know about search it out, but yes, they'd have to go to our
Well, yeah,
website.
and I don't see them doing that, but what I would think is, there's gotta be some way to track
Easier
people
access.
from when they check out, why they are not sent immediately when they check out. You know, I know there are systems like when you show houses, immediately when you show it, it automatically sends something to the real estate agent and says, what's your feedback? So it seems like to me, I can't believe somebody doesn't have a system that once somebody checks out, they automatically get an email, and they go to their email.
Check your books out, you get an email.
Yeah, you get an email, how was your experience?
Or a text
I think we
message.
could do
Or a
it.
text message, or a text message.
Should we do that just with the current Polaris tools, or will we have to add something?
I think more people have phones than they have.
Take a look and let me know. And
Can you do it with the phone, a text
It
message?
should be, but.
I mean, just like a 3 or 4 quick, how was your experience, how could you improve it, or, you know, does it need improving, whatever, you know.
Because we have the information, we should be able to send notices out how we want, whatever the. you know,
That could be
transaction.
measured on here,
Yeah.
on this,
Right.
after you reword it, it could be measured.
Robert, can you check that and
I
let
will.
us know at our next meeting about that?
That would be relatively.
It would be helpful, I think.
Any other new business? Okay. Then I need a motion to adjourn. It's 5:08.
So moved.